3 months I forgot to run the preloader first. Oops. Alright guys, well let's get right into this. Spawning here in the lower left corner of Entombed Valley, it's the Orange Terran Roxkiss Jagon, also known as Protect.
And in the upper right-hand corner of the map, it's from the Team Millennium. So I think, well, he's actually not from the Team Millennium, he's from the Team AAA. He just has a weird and funky name with his tag. It is Mlord. I always screw that up, don't I?
You know what? It's perfectly A-okay. If someone actually wants to go Google for us real quick what AAA stands for, we'd love to be able to give their team a proper shout out. But, okay guys, it's TvT. Despite the fact that it is in fact Entombed Valley, it all boils down to the fact that it is a TvT. And what this means is tank lines. And tank lines for some people, I think the aspect of it is this. When you're watching tank lines, they're so cool. When you're playing tank lines, it's so frustrating and you hate it. But
yeah,
I mean, oh, sorry, continue.
No, bad experiences with TvT tank lines, Rifkin. It makes you just kind of want to quit the game at some points. But if you stick with it, if you try your best, you will always prevail, no matter what. That warrior spirit will take you to victory. And guess what? I have found information on Team AA. It's actually Team Against All Authority, and
That's a cool. That's a cool name. I like that name.
Yeah, team from France, and Mlord is short for Marin Lord. So today you have all learned a little bit about this player.
Cool.
He's from France too. So maybe a competitor of Millennium then, since Millennium's a French-based team, I believe.
Yeah, France, man. Europe, France, I think it's like the heart of everything, to be honest. Although, I say that and I realize that like a lot of StarCraft teams are more from the Eastern Bloc section of Europe.
Yes. Well, and Protect's an interesting player because it's Korean who's on a Russian team. So...
yeah, that is quite interesting.
Yeah. But TvT, man, it's a couple of deviations that have been starting to pop up between players at the ends and Wings of Liberty. What we see from Mlord is the in-base gas first. Well, not first, but very, very early. He may have actually gone for it a little bit quicker than his barracks, but he's in fact pumped up to his factory tech very, very quickly here, enable him to get what is going to be something involving a tech lab, or maybe that's just for his bio. But yeah,
What?
What?
Look at the third base. What is going on with the sneaky SCV? He took a lot of extra time to make sure that hid behind that tree so it would not be scouted. Like that wasn't him putting it in the corner. He was very actively trying to hide that. So I'm curious to see what his plans are with that. I'm sitting here, fingers crossed, there's gonna be a proxy Stargate or something, but
it could still be a factory. Protect's gone for the command center inside of his base, which is kind of peculiar to me as well, because a scan would reveal this easily for Mlord if he was just assigned to pop that down the main. There's a lot of surface area where that command center is covering. And he's just going for a reactor barracks in the main base, so content to just throw down Marines. And alright, he is going to build the factory in the main for now, but let's keep an eye on that SCV later.
I really want that to be a proxy starport. If it does, if it's not, okay, not a big deal. I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat like it's Zotac, man. Zotac's where you see the crazy strats, and I'd love to see that happen. Now, we do have Hellions coming out for Mlord, or at least a Hellion on the field already, another one on the way. And Hellions are pretty darn good. I think a lot of people undervalue them in TvT. Because, I mean, the thing is, if you got a ton of Marines buffering your tank lines, Hellions eat those up faster than the tanks will.
They're certainly nice. The bunker at the front of Protect's base is going to deflect that simply. But actually what Mlord's gone for that is very peculiar was a Banshee, like the quickest Banshee you can possibly get. So making that tech lab on the barracks first, lifting it, and then building the starport directly in the tech lab, enables you to just pop the Banshee out off of one gas. And this is a pretty crisp build, and I'm curious to see if he's going to bring the Banshee with the Marines and Hellions across the base. But actually, did he scout out that bunker? Okay, yes, he did get up there and see the bunker at the front of the ramp.
But the thing is, Banshees, when Mike heard correctly, don't give a good gosh darn about Marines. It doesn't matter how many Marines Protect has if Mlord's got the best micro in the universe.
Yeah, and it actually looks like Protect's going to go for Banshees himself, and I like that. I like that Mlord's following this up with the Viking back at home. He still hasn't gone for... okay, there's his command center. I was getting very worried for him there because sometimes you can get locked in that one base mode, Rifkin, and when you don't make the command center, you look back at home, you're like, oh my gosh, I am completely screwed. But
well, curiously enough, Protect, I think, started cutting some SCVs somewhere along the way because he's had these two CCs up for a while, but he is on par with the SCVs. Now the Banshee is coming into the base doom, but Marines are ready to respond.
You gotta be very careful. Does Mlord taking a lot of damage on the Banshee? I was doing really great micro picking off those Marines one by one. You do two-shot a Banshee at this point. Two-shot a Marine with a Banshee at this point? Yeah.
So close. But yeah, there's that dance I was talking about. Anyone who's ever played the Micromaster game on StarCraft. Now here comes the Viking to shut this down.
Oh.
Nice. Very nice. Now we do have a Raven coming up as the follow-up to this. I like this choice. Now, the first person I saw doing this was Beastie. A lot of people, typically in TvT, you'd have the Raven out for the additional scouting, auto turrets maybe to mess with the AI of the tanks, but more importantly, point defense drones to deal with the Viking wars. However, people like Beastie have been using them for the Hunter-Seeker missile actually, rather than the point defense drone, and just kind of saying, you know what, caution to the wind, let's just AoE all of your Vikings, forget the point defense drone.
You could even use it on Marines if the players opted not to go for combat shows. And oh man, did Protect actually see that medevac in the middle of the map?
Oh.
I really like this choice here from Mlord to follow this up, follow up the Banshee aggression with the Hellion pressure. He didn't really do a lot of damage with those Banshees, but Protect's a very smart guy. He's already got Marines in the base in the event that something sneaky's coming back in.
Yeah, he's had this group of Marines here since pretty much minute 1 of the game. He had that bunker out of the front, but with it gone, his Marines have been protecting his back lines. I mean, when the thing is, when your opponent shows they got a Banshee, you know there's some sort of air aggression. Whether it's guarding against a second Banshee or a potential drop is going to be up to Protect's discretion, but he's going to be lucky and happy to know that, yeah, another drop was coming, but it's going to get shut down.
Well, it's going to be up to Mlord to maneuver this correctly here. He does have a little bit of space at the bottom, and the Marines are just positioned up there. There's a lot of supply depots in the back of the base, but they're all down.
Once the Hellions are out, it's hard to deal with the Marines.
Oh, he sees it, and the Marines are actually... What were they focusing down there? They didn't do damage to anything.
He was trying to chase the medevac. But there are tanks here, there's Vikings, there's a Raven. He should clean this up.
Oh.
He did evacuate the SCV, so I mean, he didn't really lose anything for that.
Yep, and one unlucky Hellion got taken down there. Alright, so both players are going for stim. Both players doing primarily just bio follow-ups, but Mlord's got his infrastructure a little bit in a better spot. On the other hand, Protect has gone for the double engineering base, which I'm actually just seeing go down here for Mlord. So he's a little bit ahead in the upgrade regard. Mlord will hit a little bit more ahead in the infrastructure regard.
Oh, and unfortunately Protect's scan was just out of vision of those double engineering bays, actually. But it's kind of interesting. I do like both players going with that bio follow-up. You can play pure mech versus Terran in this, and it's nice, but Marauders are so good at just kind of stemming forward and breaking the tank line that no amount of Hellions or Thors really help with that.
Yeah, and Entombed Valley is such a large map that having the mobility to be able to drop, be able to move around with a large, vast clump of bio can enable you to just focus fire down planetary fortresses, focus fire down command centers. Mech becomes this, kind of burden on you because you got to like slowly leapfrog it across the map. It has to be very methodical, and it can make an impatient player really go nuts.
Well, fun fact, since you brought up Planetary Fortresses, as a TvT player, it wasn't until I actually reached Masters League that I realized that tanks unsieged outrange a non-upgraded Planetary Fortress.
John.
For like the entirety of my StarCraft career, I was like, okay, it's planetary, don't get close to it, siege it from far away. And then just one day I was completely stupid, I A-moved into the planetary, and I was like, whoa, I'm not getting a hit, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Now, if they get that sneaky high-sec auto-tracking upgrade, though, and then you try to do it, and all of your tanks get, like, planetary-focused fire down with splash damage, it's a little devastating, but...
I'm going to take a little bit of pepper on those Hellions, but they do get out alive.
Yeah, both players adding on their armories after they've got their upgrades nearly done, so
yep,
they're going to be very focused on upgrades here in this game.
Third base is also on the way, so I mean, these guys are keeping an economic head. This is not an all-in. I mean, it's really easy as a Terran player to get caught up in everything and just go for some sort of all-in, but the reality is you need to be able to produce behind things. All-ins don't usually work unless it's like really early on for Terran players. So I like that they've continued with their expansions behind this. Now, Mlord going to catch a lot of Jagon's units out of position.
Does he have... okay.
Okay, tanks eased up on both lines. Huge firefight going on here, and I think both players are actually kind of equalizing what's happening.
Yeah, the turret, the missile turret actually, or it wasn't a missile turret, but the Raven dropping that turret down near the tanks actually drew fire for a second, which allowed the Marines to finish up the rest of that bio army without being attacked. So, small little move there from Perfect. He does have control of the watchtower, so he's okay to sit here, and as long as Mlord doesn't reinforce with a whole bunch of stuff. And Rifkin, I wanted to mention that Mlord actually doesn't have equal or greater infrastructure than protecting more. But okay, we're just gonna dive in at this. He says he was the Watchtower, but doesn't have enough units.
And I think these tanks are gonna be in a lot of trouble here, Doom.
Can't see anything, so this is devastating.
Vikings landing on the tanks as well, and
my gosh.
Protect will clean this up.
Yeah, and now Protect back to his home base has more barracks than Mlord. He's able to produce more bio at once now. Mlord opted to go for another factory, and he still hasn't added a tech lab onto that. He's got 2 naked barracks in the base, and this is looking really good for Protect at this point now. His 3rd base is getting up and running. It's going to be a command center. Great choice.
You have to keep in mind, Mlord has been throwing away, or I shouldn't really phrase it like that, but he has been losing these fights. That fight in the middle was a pretty devastating loss. He lost the Banshee early on. The medevac from the drop did not get anything done, and I mean, for the fact that he's technically behind, he still traded fairly evenly in that middle battle.
Yeah, and he's gotten his 2-2 upgrades faster than Protect, so there's a lot of different factors going on here. This is why I love TvT.
Well, actually, just looking at the count right now, though, dude, this is pretty dirty. It is 5 tanks to 1 and 34 Marines to 22. So, I mean, Protect definitely has the numbers on his side, but I mean, TvT, it all comes down to positioning. If you walk into a tank line and don't realize it's there, lose half of your army immediately, suddenly numbers aren't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think more than anything, having more and more unit-producing structures to outproduce your opponent is very critical too here. Mlord has double factories now, so he's able to make 2 tanks at once. He'll be able to catch up in a little bit. On the other hand, Protect has 2 factories building right now, so he'll go up to 3 in total, being able to build whatever he wants out of those, whether it be tanks, Thors. It could even be late game Hellions. I mean, there's a lot of different transitions he can make here, whether it be into something more mech oriented for defense or something involving Sky Terran. But neither player really going for air at this point in the game. It's only 16 minutes in at this right now.
I was gonna say, like, the one thing I'd really like to see is who gets battle cruisers first. This seems to be the late game weapon of choice. Although I gotta say, like, they don't get utilized as often because of how easy they are to take out with scans. But Ghosts with nukes, I feel that nukes, and this is my personal opinion as a caster, not so much a player, is that, like, I've seen a lot of good players utilize nukes to zone an army rather than try and damage that army. And it's that sort of skill level that really wins you fights.
Yeah, Ghosts certainly have their place, but I mean, considering the micro of your average player, let alone your average
you don't really see him
player,
in TvT make that big of an appearance. Although I'm just saying, I would love for it to happen.
You have to be Korean. You have to be OGS top or MVP or someone. MMA.
Well, 3-3 is on the way for Mlord. 2-2 is only just finishing up 4 Protect. So, I mean, these guys are on even footing for this fight, but only for so long. And
well, Mlord's got better upgrades for the moment, and he's charging in here, Rifkin, but he doesn't have the supply advantage. He doesn't have a better position either.
Yeah, he just kind of ran into
Protect's just going to crush this.
And look at the reinforcement of Marines from the side. I mean, the tanks just kind of shelled away at all of Mlord's army, and I think Mlord, that's one fight lost too many. I don't know if he can produce enough to come back from this, Doom. I mean, yeah, he's got the double factories pumping away with tanks, but he lost so much. It is 11 tanks to 4.
He's going to try to take his 4th base, but, I mean, yeah, Protect's making 14 Marines at a time. His 2-2's finished, so that window has been closed.
3 more command centers also on the way. I mean, these are all going to be orbitals, so you can start sacrificing SCVs, getting that army count better and better. I think Protect, I mean, he's in a really good spot. He hasn't sealed the deal, but a spot that is no question about it.
Gonna have another small engagement. Mlord's got to set up his defenses to wait for his 3-3, but Protect's saying, no way, I'm just coming in, bro.
Yeah, and this is a slaughter. It's just what it is. Mlord, I mean, we don't even see Protect sieging up. He's just going with unsieged tanks because he's powerhousing through everything. Now, he's lost a good chunk of the Marines. It's just mostly tanks at this point. And if he loses these tanks, Doom, he's going to lose a huge advantage he had.
Yeah, he's not rallying across the map. He's rallying back at home, so even sending his medevacs back, so...
Only 4 tanks survived out of that mess.
Oh, can the medevac drop anything or die?
Wow, one of the tanks takes out 2 of the tanks. That friendly fire, Doom.
This will be cleaned up. Protect was thinking about joining...
Look at the reinforcements, man. This is... Protect could lose that army. He didn't care. That's why I think it was sacrificed so readily. And
Mlord's got his 4th base up in the meantime, and I don't think Protect actually knows about it. Nope, but he is going to have to GG.
Yeah, the reinforcements are just way too much.